Hey everybody, this is Talkative Carl back again for another movie spoiler review. And today I'm covering the animated classic, The Emperor's New Groove, Disney animated classic. Now, oddly enough, because I definitely did not know this, I don't know many people of my generation knew this when this came out, that it was, I want to say development hell, but uh there was some issues with, like, things behind the scenes trying to get this thing out, to when one of the writers, I believe, ended up leaving, because this was directed by Mark Denal. And uh this would have been, like, initially, like, Lion King. It's like, like one of those kind of classic Disney musical kind of animation films. Now you still got, some musical numbers here, but in all actuality, I don't think many people even recall any of the songs of in Emperor's New Groove. They remember, like, the comedic moments more often than not. I think if you remember anything, it's like the one they played in the beginning, because that was played, on the trailers. I still remember some of the trailers to this, but it has some funny characters. But honestly, you only go probably remember, like, the four main ones, like, Cusco, Pacha, Kronk, and Yzma. But as primarily the main ones you focus on, I don't think you even recall, because they're still great characters, like, Pacha's wife and children, but you don't really recall their names like that. You just say, like, Pacha's wife and children. But even though it didn't do well at the box office, it was quickly uh acknowledged as, one of the great animation movies later on, after this, especially with DVD release and everything like that. Sometimes that happens because, you know I like the heck out of this movie. A lot of people who recall, like, Emperor's New Groove always, say, like, hey, I loved it, it was fun, and it still is fun. They even made a spin-off sequel called Kronk's New Groove. Don't even remember. I know I probably watched it, but I just don't remember. It's been years since I've seen Kronk's New Groove. I only probably saw it one time. I'm not sure how well it did, but I do remember they also made a animated, Disney TV show, The Emperor's New School, where it's, like, primarily led by Kronk, who's, like, doing, like, kind of like a scout troop kind of thing. I remember watching a few episodes of that, but it just didn't stick with me like most of the shows. But anyway, uh, we got Emperor Cusco, played by David Spade, Pacha, played by John Goodman, Eartha Kitt plays Yzma, Patrick Warburton plays Kronk, Wendy Malick plays Chicha, Pacha's wife. Of course, you got Kellyanne Kesso and Ali Russell Lennox as Cha Cha and Tipo, as Pacha's children, the son and daughter. And I guess these two, kids never did any acting, beyond this. They don't have any other, notable credits. Yeah, I mean, but that's primarily the main people you're focusing on. So this is, like, during the age of the Incan Empire, and Cusco is the emperor. Now, I love this because it's like, I love it when, like, this is one of those smartly played, breaking the fourth wall type of films. I mean, it's not the first to do it, but it's like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Deadpool, even like TV shows like She-Hulk, well, and some people, you know, don't, I won't say they don't care for, but it's just like they, there's some people who the way She-Hulk went about with breaking the fourth wall seemed either excessive or you're just doing it because you can. It's not like the way Deadpool does it, where it's like when he's breaking the fourth wall, is not only comedically timed, but also there's a reason why he's like doing it. The same thing with like Ferris Bueller, because primarily because maybe like they like the narrators, like Kuzco is a narrator, so he can jump in, when he needs to fill in certain blanks in the story. One of the scenes that always stuck with me with this film that always got a laugh out of me is when there's one shot when Pacha's sitting down, he's moping, and Cusco paused the movie altogether. It's like, hold on, why y'all focus on him? This is about me here, and he's come over. It's like he circles him and crosses out Pacha. It's like, see, about me, not him. Me, not him. Okay, sorry for pausing. We'll get back to it. And he comes back in and scribbles over Pacha, and just the level of immaturity, because here he's played as he just turned, he's about to turn 18 soon, become like because technically he's Prince, but he's getting into like permanent rule. It's never explained like what's going on with his parents, because that would have been an interesting like sequel or something to do with Cusco, I guess, because Kronk became so a popular supporting character. Everybody just decided to like focus on him for like a sequel, but I don't know, maybe just because they didn't have much, to, I don't want to say much to work with, but it's like, don't know what is like a good reason why they don't like make a sequel pertaining to Cusco's lineage. But I guess they like, okay, we told like Cusco's story, so we don't need to hash out any more beyond him. But I don't know, it's like, what's going on with his parents? Like, well, usually supposedly they probably passed away or something like that, but I don't know. David Spade, ridiculously funny. So you can see his lifestyle over this whole musical number, and of course, like I said, if you saw the trailer, you recall like he's doing this like moonwalk, the dance. I remember like when they was promoting this film, so many kids on the promotional commercials and everything like that always like recite the lines from the film, like, he's throwing my groove. It's and then they all try to do like like do it. You, if you look it up on YouTube, you'll see all like the kids like reenacting stuff from the film. It's kind of funny, but so he is obviously arrogant. I don't want to say lazy, but he just like pretentious, spoiled, because he always gotten wherever he wanted. It's kind of like like if Batman grew up with like a like a normal life without his parents like dying or anything like that. He'll probably grow up more than likely a spoiled rich kid. So you can tell me, because this is kind of like the whole situation with show don't tell comes into play, that people with who appreciate movies like is when it comes to storytelling, sometimes you gotta show, don't tell when it comes to this kind of medium. So right as he's trying to like doing his little dance, he bumps into some old man who's just standing there while his personal guards are river dancing. And he's just kind of like, just completely agitated. It's like he threw off my groove. So he had his guards toss this old man right out the window, and then he began resuming the dance number. So you can tell this kid is so like arrogant and just self-centered, and it's like you already got him right out the gate. It's it's like just his movements, his mannerisms, you got him. But he's also funny enough to make it still charming, so you can just follow this protagonist along, because he's still technically a protagonist, just like a protagonist on his kind of hero's journey to like hopefully come out on the better end of things from when he began. So Pacha is walking in the palace. He helps the guy who's dangling from one of the banners, and he's like, beware the groove, the groove. It was so funny. And Pacha meets up with Kuzco, who just asking Pacha, like, because he has this whole model of this village sitting on top of the hill, and the Pacha is the leader of. And he asked Pacha, was like, where's the best side where you get the most sun? I was like, oh, and I'm pretty sure you all seen the memes where you see like this Pacha doing this like face where it's like, when that sunrise hits it, that look, I'm pretty sure we all seen that meme 1,000 times. This is where it comes from. So Kuzco's like, oh, okay, thanks, you can go now. But that's all you needed? Yeah, because I'm just building this big summer home thing on top of your village. So I'm gonna bulldoze the entire area, so you and your people gotta get out of there. And of course Pacha doesn't like that, obviously, but Kuzco doesn't take no for an answer, so he has him tossed out. And then we get the introduction of Yzma, played by Eartha Kitt, and Eartha Kitt like knocks out of the park, and she obviously has eyes on the throne, and it's like Eartha Kitt brings a certain not only hilarity, this is like one of the funniest villains, Disney villains, and that I don't think people really give her due credit, because she is so funny, menacing but so funny. She pairs so well with Kronk that it's just like, oh my god, you don't get this kind of dynamic duo of villains that often. It's kind of like the same way as like you will like Jesse and James from Pokemon, that kind of perfect duo of villains. And she's sitting on Kuzco's throne barking out orders and everything like that, and Kuzco just sitting there like, you're doing it again. And it's like and she's trying to like, oh, like, I just want to like do this. He's making excuses. Obviously he's trying to cozy up to him, and then you hear like Kuzco's narrating, and it's so freaking funny because the camera gets like a super close up on Yzma's face, where it's like you see every wrinkle, and every time she moves her face, it crinkles up and stretches, and it's like and you hear Kuzco just like, jeez, what's holding this woman together? It's just so funny. It's just the commentary is so hilarious, and just adds on to the hilarious when you just like zoom in to see like the wrinkles and the mole and all this other stuff and like the crazy makeup. It's just like, oh my god, it's so funny. But he then fires her, uh uh you know, like just like without, you know, just like well, I'm pretty sure a good reason. She keeps trying to like do his job. Uh, uh, so she then hatches a plan on assassinating him and usurping the throne because he doesn't have any heirs. So the which I don't know why he didn't like put out the notice to everybody that Yzma is gone, so that way she shouldn't be in the palace. That's like she should be gone. You know, have his guards just take her outside and instruct, like, you know, she's no longer a part of my. She's no longer my vizier or visor or whatever like that. Get her out, you know, that kind of thing. But probably just didn't get around to it. So she has a plan to, you know, take him out. So under the pretenses on having like a nice little dinner, she provides, she concocts some kind of poison that Kronk, you know, and Kronk is hilarious, and it's like Patrick Warburton really sells this character where he's like charmingly dumb. And it's kind of like when you play like a dumb character, there gotta be some excuse me, layers to the character, or you gotta make a super charming because there's such a thing as making a person too dumb. It's kind of like I got two characters in mind. Hocus Pocus 2, that jock kid, he's played way too dumb to the point it's like it's not even funny. You don't give him, you gotta give these dumb characters funny lines at the very least, that we can latch onto. And then the other one is Chris Hemsworth's character in the female Ghostbusters movie, where he is played way too dumb, and he has, you know, a few funny moments, but sometimes it kind of, you know, you either beat it to death or you don't capitalize on it. I don't know. It's like, I'm not a movie writer, but it's just like you can just tell. Like sometimes you gotta walk that fine line of playing a joke to its like fullest capabilities, but also you shouldn't be just belaboring the point. And then, you know, but the bulk of the times you just have nothing funny for him. He is hot and dumb, and that's the joke. Yeah, Kronk is, you know, walks that perfect line of charmingly dumb, and you actually got funny stuff to say. Where he's, you know, like clearly Yzma's planning on assassinating him under the guise of, you know, bringing him to dinner, but he's making like a full, you know, presentation of this whole entire thing. He actually got like shrimp puffs and he's lighting candles, and it's like, you know, it's like, oh, like I fix this, you know, lovely dessert. And it's like he's really putting it all like he's actually like making like a, you know, like a dinner date kind of thing. It was really funny. It was like, oh right, you know, the poison for Kuzco, Kuzco for poison, poison that we gotta give to Kuzco, right? And then of course he pours one of the poisons in one of the three you know, cups of wine, but he knows, like, you know, one of the food is burning, so he runs to get him out the well, I say oven, but he obviously has something different that is like a form of an oven, historical context. But then he forgot which of the cups had the poison in it, so he just decides to just put it all in there and just, you know, signal to Yzma, just don't drink it at all. And of course, thinking that they finally got him, turns out he is morphed into a llama, and the label thing is the skull turns out to be like a llama symbol. And in Krunk's defense, like, you really gotta label those things right. Uh, um, so she instructs Krunk to just, take him out and then dump the body. Of course, Krunk had a crisis of conscience. He literally has like a devil and angel on his shoulders, and decides to not toss Kuzco over a waterfall. So he decided to, like, dump him secretly somewhere out in the middle of nowhere, but he ends up, dropping him in the wagon of Pacha, coincidentally, while Pacha is taken off to the village. Kark ended up losing him, so he's like, okay, well, he's gone, I guess, so it should be all right. So, well, Yzma is like taking over essentially. Pacha's, is, anxious and worried because now it's like, well, I'm gonna tell my wife and village that we have to move and everything like that. And you see like a lovely wife and children, and the children aren't annoying. It's like, perfectly designed children where they're the appropriate age to we are leveling, like they love their dad, they're excited to see their dad, and they're like measuring each other's heights on the door frame and stuff like that. And they're the appropriate age to be hyperactive, but not to the point where it's like, settle down, stop eating sugar. And then the wife isn't like overbearing or chastising. They're like, you talk about like cool on-screen couples. These two like had like a great dynamic. You don't get enough of her, but the times you do get her, she is just like, because she's pregnant with a third kid on the way, but she's like cool, understanding, the right amount of like, like mama bear attitude. And but she's like, she backs her husband. There's gonna be another scene where she is like totally like understanding what her husband wants, and she's like totally backing him up. Perfect dynamic between a couple, but like a perfect masculinity and perfect feminine energy working as one. This is like the perfect example. So while trying to put up his ordinary, was that a llama or is just like a donkey? But putting up the pack animal that was carrying the wagon, noticing that who's changed, and Kuzco asking his help to get him back to his castle, to the palace. But Pacha's, it's like, I won't do it unless you agree to change your mind on Kuztopia. And of course, Kuzco is not trying to hear that, so he decides to like, go himself, and against Pacha's advice, saying like, no, it's very treacherous if you don't know the way, and especially if it's nighttime, it's jaguars, and he's not listening. And of course, he gets ended up chasing by jaguars. After a squirrel he disrespected decides to alert the jaguars nearby. So thanks to Pacha rescuing him in a hilarious Tarzan moment, that he didn't nab him in the first swing, but on the second swing he grabs him. They end up falling into the ravine. And another little moment you've seen people like repeat back in the day. It's like, you know, let me guess, you're about to fall over in a raging waterfall. Yep. Shark rocks at the bottom? Most likely. Bring it on. So yeah, you see that constantly back to back. People repeat that. So they made out by sheer dumb luck. And this is where I like, because normally, because clearly, okay, they had like a moment at night, try to rest up and decide to, go back to the palace. They decided to make a deal. It's like, okay, I'll change my mind about Cuscopia if you help me get me safely back to the palace. And of course, Kuzco is like lying, but here's the thing: in most movies, they let that lie drag on way into the third act. But no, this is almost the next scene where it's like, Pacha's like, getting caught up in like a broken bridge and everything like that, and decides like, like, help me up. Yeah, and Kuzco's like, I don't think so. I'm gonna be heading back to the village now. But you shook on it. Yeah, like I lied. So it's like you right away, he just straight up just lied. It's no third act liar reveal thing. You're like right in it. It's like that is just like, you really don't see that. I'm pretty sure there's other movies out there who did do this kind of thing, but this is the only one I can remember that actually does this, where it's like it's no obligatory third act. You find out, the main character finds out immediately. So Pacha is like, you just gonna leave me like this? Nobody's that heartless. But Kuzco gets caught up in the same mess. They nearly fall into some crocodiles, and they use some teamwork to get themselves up on top of the hill. But part of the hill is about to crumble down underneath Pacha, and Kuzco just instinctively grabs him, yanks him to safety. And Pacha's, points out, yeah, you saved me. I knew that was good in you. And then Kuzco just like, not realizing it, just says like, of course he did. No one's that heartless. And it's like, showing there's more to Kuzco, because it's like, yeah, he's arrogant, but he's not evil. There is a difference. Because he wants to rule in peace, but he just he puts himself first before anybody else. So they renew their deal and decide to like head back to the palace. Yzma realized Kronk did not do the job, so they decide to go and track him down. And thanks to his Squirrel Scout experience, Kronk can speak with a squirrel who tells him about Pacha and Kuzco. So they decide to like track him down, which they end up in this little diner type place. And Kuzco's decide, to dressed up like a woman and everything like that in order to finally get something to eat, because they haven't really eaten much since they started this adventure. So it's just like a funny moment where they literally are sitting two booths next to each other and they don't even realize each other's presence. Is really hilarious. This is probably like one of my favorite funniest moments in this entire movie, where Pacha soon realizes who they are once he overhears about their, plans, because Cusco's thinking like, oh, well, I'll just go to Yzma. She has all that, that lab of hers. She can, like, just change me back. And so he overhears, these two, while Cusco's, trying to make weird requests to the cook. And while Pacha's going to warn Cusco, he's trying to sneak him out. But then you see like a funny moment where it's like Kronk trying to talk to Cook. Cook is getting irritated by all these constant demands, and so Kronk is taking over and he's doing an expert job. And it's like his back is turned while Yzma and Cusco is going around through the revolving doors, making like, I actually want this, like, oh, no, maybe I don't want that. Like, how about some cheese on those potatoes? No cheese on mine. It's like, okay, what you want? It's like, this entire scene is so freaking funny. Well done comedy. Oh my god, it's so funny. But then Pacha finally gets Cusco's out of there, and he's trying to warn him that like these two don't have his best interest at heart, and they plan on taking him out. And Cusco, thinking like Pacha's, BSing him, it's like, decides to go off on his own. Then that is the third act breakup kind of situation. But I'm just finally, it's just a relief there's no liar reveal kind of thing. It's like we move past it. We like, we did that quickly and move past it. So it's more of a, just not fully trusting each other, because Cusco's projecting. In my summation, he's projecting. Because he's been so selfish. He thinks everybody, can. At least that's my estimation. You probably can infer, differently. But upon my watching, I got to feel that Cusco probably thinks in his mindset that, okay, Pacha doesn't have my best interest at heart, because probably just as he's probably being just as selfish as I have been. So it's like, so once he's trying to reach, he's near Yzma and Kronk, and then he overhears their real plans. Then he runs away. Now he doesn't have any friends, and so he's completely alone. So after a night of rain and self-pity and everything like that, he walks through the field where there's a bunch of other llamas at. Feel like he's just resigned his life as a llama moving forward. And he sees Pacha. They reconcile, and they decide to make a quick stop at Pacha's village to I forgot. I'm pretty sure it's to warn his wife, but because Kronk recalls where he saw Pacha from, they end up going to Pacha's home first, under the guise of Pacha's distant relatives. And this is where, like, Pacha sneaks in, warns the wife. They decide to like stall, her and the kids decide to stall Yzma and Kronk long enough for them to get a head start to the palace. And it's like, it's a funny moment when, like, they're locked in this closet, and Yzma try to break it down. The wife opens the door right at nick of time. The kids tarred and feathered her, and like she ends up falling into this little birthday party thing, and these blindfolded kids trying to hit a piano, and they end up hitting Yzma instead, who looks like just a giant chicken. And they end up chasing Pacha and Cusco, and of course you see on this map where it's like, you know, Pacha and Cusco is like got dotted lines, you know, showing their trail on a map, while Yzma and Kronk has like a triangle purple lines to indicate their travel. And a funny fourth wall break where they notice the Cusco and Pacha's dotted lines, and they notice their dotted lines, and they just looking at each other like, and they're like, and then they just go on. That's so funny. It's just like they didn't have to even, you know, really say anything. It's just their expression says it all, and it's so funny. So, they Yzma and Kronk ends up, you know, falling down this ravine, and Cusco and Pacha finally make it to the palace to Yzma's lab and try to find the vial for human, but Yzma and Kronk is already there, and they ask like, "Hey, how'd you beat us here?" And Yzma just like, yeah, Kronk, how did we? And then, you know, Kronk just pulls out a map, and it's like, you know, yeah, it's like, according to this, it doesn't really make any sense. Like, it's like, oh my god, I remember that so vividly as a kid. I was like, oh my god, the fact they acknowledge, like, okay, you should not even beat us here, and it's like, it just writing, it's just like, just the writing, just like, you're just here now. It is so hilariously done. I love that scene. And then another quick funny scene where it's like, she, you know, Yzma just lifting up her skirt, and it's like, I bet you didn't see this coming. And you see, like, you see a bit of her leg, and like Pacha and Cusco's like, ah, and then she lifts up her skirt higher, and so it shows a knife, and it's like, oh my god, thank you. Yes, yes. Oh my god. Oh, it's amazing. I love that. As you know, incredibly funny and well done writing. So they can't find the right vial, so they just, you know, grab stuff. Yzma has a bunch of guards trying to capture them. They end up getting struck by a bunch of vials that turns them into various other animals. So while Cusco and Pacha is running away from them, they trying to like just trying every vial, trying to change Cusco into whatever. He has to change into the turtle, a bird, a whale, and then back into the llama. And then it's down to 2 vials. And well, there's a moment where like Yzma asks, you know, is ordering Kronk to just take them both out, and then of course his consciousness, good and bad consciousness, comes up again. And he's having this full-on conversation out loud while Yzma and the other 2 are just looking, and she just turns to them, it's like, and they was like, I don't. It was like, I don't know. There's a lot of the going on, and it was just like, I don't know. That really got me. It was just like, he was just looking at the protagonist like, what is? Of course, Kronk, you know, not wanting to like actually hurt these guys. So she disposes of Kronk in one of the trap doors. So now, down to the 2 vials. Yzma managed to seize one of them, and well, try to seize them. One of them breaks, and it turns her. You think on first indication that she's turned to this kind of like, because it'll probably be in most kind of animated films where it's like, oh, the main villain got one of the vials and she turns into like, I don't know, like a dragon or something. But no, it's subverting your expectation. She turned into a little kitten. but she still got like a maniacal little kitten. It's like, oh my god, is that my voice? Oh my god, it's my voice. Like, and it's like this still evil little cute little kitten, and just and it's like got the last vial. Now I'm gonna turn back into my gorgeous self. I'm going to kill you. And it's, oh my god, it's so good. This movie is really, really good. Of course, thanks to Kronk's intervention, because he ended up in a different room and he found his way out, and he opens up a window, hitting Yzma, her dropping the vial, and is on the edge of like the stone Incan wall where Pacha's hanging on to dear life, and Kuzco wanted to get the vial before it drops and decides to like go with his heart and save his friend. But thanks to like, you know, Yzma landing on some kind of trampoline that, you know, was ordered by Kuzco like a long while ago, she bounces straight up, catches the vial, and she bumps her head onto like a part of the wall, drops the vial again, and Kuzco and Pacha catch it. Kuzco returns back to human, make amends to the people he, you know, offended in any kind of way, like the old man, and he changes his mind about, you know, bulldozing Pacha's village instead to go to the you know, a hilltop, a vacant hilltop next, you know, that's like, you know, close by. And I'm like, why didn't you do that in the first place? You know, if that kind of stuck out for me. If I got, you know, cons at all that was kind of glaring, that is glaring. It's like, oh, now there's some kind of vacant hilltop. Maybe because it's like, it's supposed to be like a better spot for sunlight and everything like that, to gaze at a sunrise or whatever like that, which is where you'll probably get that at Pacha's hilltop. But it's still, it's like, oh, you conveniently have like a hilltop where he is going to build like a kind of like his little summer home summer home thing there, to where it has like a water slide and everything like that, where he can be close by to his friend. Kronk is leading like a scroll scout troop, excuse me, teaching the kids how to speak squirrel, and that's Yzma, you know, stuck as a cat and in part of the scout troop. And that's where the movie ends. It's like I said, it's really good, but you know, the whole, that hilltop, the extra hilltop that came out of nowhere, it's just like, okay, there was no, at the very least you could have brought it up earlier in the film, like where Pacha can just say, you know, there's another hilltop right next to mine, it's completely vacant, you could take that, and then have Kuzco say like, well, I want your hilltop, that's where to get the better sunlight kind of situation. And then you can add here in the third act where it's like, you know, well, I'm just gonna go ahead to the vacant hilltop, that kind of thing. You could have done that to where it, you know, it makes sense. It seems like you pulled that extra hilltop out of nowhere to me. Anyway, that is Emperor's New Groove. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this film. If you know, remember it. If you haven't seen it in a long time, go back and watch it. It's on Disney Plus. It's freaking hilarious, man. But yeah, watch it. Let me know what you thought of it. Let's try to get this video to like 100 likes. Covering Resident Evil 4 remake. Only got part 1 up on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/talkativecarl. I also am close to my 400 subscriber goal. Let's try to share these videos with any of your friends who might be interested. Let's try to get to that 400 subscriber goal, because I'm still aiming for that milestone so I can do the Hot Ones challenge video for you guys, where I'll try out the hot sauces from the show while answering any questions via YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. And I'll see you guys in a few minutes, where I'll cover season 1 of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney animated anime, and as well as my comic book spoiler review of Miles Morales origin story, written by Brian Michael Bendis. So I'll look forward to those, and once I'm done, I'll be going right back into RE4 remake. So I will see you guys in a little bit. Peace.